This is Trophy Gold, Foulcoult's Bounty Part 2. Quick note, if you're watching this video, the full standalone version of Trophy Gold is now available to purchase on DriveThruRPG, so we will have a link in the show notes to that. Foulcoult's Bounty is one of the included incursions. Let's do a bit of recap. So your characters had landed in the fortified city of Old Kaleczenie. You are there to collect a bounty. There is a madman / prophet calling himself Merek Foulcoult, who has got the entire city of Old Kaleczenie under his sway. Now, your reward is great for killing him. In game terms, it's 2 gold apiece. Your reward is even greater if you can manage to capture him. It's 4 gold apiece if you can do that. You arrived at the city and you took the sort of like little elevator platform thing on your ship up the wall, encountered the welcoming committee, got past the welcoming committee, got down into the bazaar, had a number of encounters in the very, very like people-packed bazaar, and eventually kind of took a shortcut through the food pits, along with a welcoming committee ally named Dog, who's leading you through some back alleys to get to the I think it's, the amphitheater. Yeah, like the little amphitheater where Merek Foulcoult holds his apparently daily preaching sessions. And the last thing we saw was you were confronted by a person in the city who seems to be infected by this glowing orange fungus that Diane discovered. This person is kind of scratching and twitching and jerking and flailing as they sort of like lumber toward you. And Dog says that they have, and I quote Dog, invited you to the dance. And so that is where the action is going to pick up. I do want to check in with the characters though, and note the top stat block here for each character. Vidal, you have 3 burdens. You have 2 gold in cash, and you have no hunt tokens and 3 ruin, which is also your starting amount. You also have the condition nauseous. Diane, you have 3 burdens, 2 gold in cash, plus some fairly valuable treasures, no hunt tokens, and a ruin 3. You have the condition, the prophecy. And Revel, you have 5 burdens, 1 gold in cash, but also, well, you have they're valuable, but they're actually more utilitarian, I think, than valuable, your found equipments. No hunt tokens as well, and 5 ruin. How you all ended up with 0 hunt tokens? I have no idea, but that's the state of things. So are there any questions or anything that anybody needs to be caught up on or reminded of before we begin? Okay, I'll remind you that we are doing roaming lines and veils, so we shall press forward. Yeah, Dog says, he's here to invite you to the dance. And this person kind of like lurches forward. They have flecks of this fungus like spewing out of their mouth. And it's also just like clearly like infecting their body. There are these like kind of like orange ringed sores all over his body, hair falling out, skin, well, covered with these sores, and then clothes sort of torn and tattered, at least in part because they themselves are scratching at those sores and causing the pus to break out and leak orange fluid, and just lumbering toward you. I don't think there's any reasoning with this thing, but it doesn't seem like too challenging either. So, Revel, what do you do?
Oh boy. Revel is going to look at Dog and say, well, go on then, dance with it.
He says, no, I can't join the dance. Uh, I am not affected by the dance. That's why I'm a part of the welcoming committee.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Vidal is holding like a handkerchief or something up to his face to stop these spores getting on him. And he just kind of looks towards Diane and gestures with his head as if to say, you should be the one.
Well, I've already had my finger bit off. I've been in the stew. And this creature is coming towards us.
Yes, not
This shambling
fast,
dance.
but
It's just
yeah.
the one
Just the
creature,
one,
right?
Yeah.
You do have a pitchfork.
I know.
Longest
I think
reach
I
of
want to
any of
go up
us.
and pitchfork it. I think
I
I'm
mean, it's
just
just a
going to go
combat
up.
roll. Yeah. It's just a combat roll. How are you vulnerable?
That's a great question. I think I'm just a little unsettled after everything that's happened and being in the stew, having my finger bit off,
yeah, you've had a
dog
day.
not helping us out here.
You've had a day for sure. Roll a weak point. Okay, 3. It's an endurance 8. Does anybody want to help?
Oh yeah, if Diane is fighting it, Vidal will help.
You've got a tell me how you're vulnerable and roll weak.
I think Vidal is horrified by the idea of getting infected by this thing, whatever these spores are that it's carrying. So he's almost being, he's been hesitant in his attacks.
Yeah, seems reasonable. Go ahead and roll weak. 2. Weak points aren't bad, so that's good. Revel, are you sitting this one out or?
Yeah, Revel's gonna just sit with dog.
All right, so let's have a combat 2. Take it away, Diane.
Just a regular combat 2. Nothing. I don't get anything fancy. That's fair.
Combat 2. Well, that was a terrible roll. It was a 2 and a 1, and the 2 is a hit on Vidal. Vidal.
Like I said, I do appreciate this dice roller does roll like how I roll.
It's very realistic.
It knows me.
Vidal, you're actually not going to take any ruin. What the thing does is it breathes spores into your mouth or into you, and you become infected. But please,
that's a condition, presumably.
As a condition, yeah. Everyone just kick off the combat though. Diane, what does this look like at the start?
Diane kind of sighs like, here we go again, and pulls out her pitchfork that I imagine is somehow strapped to her back. And it's just a regular pitchfork. There's nothing fancy happening with this. It's just you bale hay with it or whatever you do with pitchforks. I don't know. But she goes sort of running towards it as it's shambling towards her. And her idea is that she's going to pitchfork it right in the chest and lift it up and flip it back over so that it flies behind her. And then Vidal can like stomp it or some such. And I think what actually ends up happening is when she sticks it and lifts it, it forces whatever kind of is in its lungs out. And as it arcs over her head in the air, these spores just sort of fill the air in a cloud, showering down on Vidal and Diane, horrifyingly.
Indeed. Anything you want to add, Vidal?
Yeah, I think Vidal is just kind of, because he's kind of hanging back, he's got this perfumed handkerchief up to his face to try and ward off the bad air. Yeah, but then as Diane sends this thing flying over her head, it almost lands on top of him, and he just scrambles back at the last moment. But it's covered in the spores.
Go ahead and roll a combat 3 for the next round. Vidal. There you go, 644. That's a better result. You destroy it this time. So, Diane, go ahead and start that process.
I think Diane is a little bit in shock that this happened. You know, her awesome plan was, she's pretty confident that it was going to work. And when she spins and she sees this dancing monster, whatever, hitting the ground, and Vidal rushing towards it, I think she realizes then she needs to close her mouth to not, eat any of these spores, because she does notice that Vidal has the cover over his mouth. So she shuts her mouth like physically and watches as Vidal comes after the creature.
Go ahead and finish it off, Vidal.
Yeah, I think as after he's got smothered in these spores, the thing lands at his feet, and Vidal just kind of, once he's recovered himself, puts his boot on its neck and just beats it into the ground with his mace.
Fantastic.
And keeps hitting long after the point when it's clearly not moving anymore.
Indeed.
I imagine
Diane.
it's a little bit like when you beat a rug and the dust kind of poofs out of it.
Yeah. Diane, roll a gold 8. Okay. 1 gold worth of treasure. The treasure, I'm going to define it, is going to be we'll just keep it as cash. He just has a little pouch of silver. Whoever wants to add 1 gold to their pile.
I think Diane kind of goes for the pouch, but then looks up at Vidal, who actually did destroy this thing, and heaves another sigh and kicks it over to him.
Yeah, I think he was not interested in trying to inspect this thing's corpse too closely, but as she kicks it over to him, he'll happily pick it up.
I will tell you, Vidal, that the infected condition starts as a twitch here, a muscle spasm there. So bear that in mind as we continue on.
And I think that nausea he was already feeling is just redoubling.
Does not help.
The very idea that he might have been infected by something.
Yeah, indeed. Dog says, "Very good, this way, this way." And he continues leading you through the alleyway. You reach the crumbling amphitheater. This is a new set. The set is actually called The Master Speaks. In a crumbling amphitheater in the center of the city, Merek Foulcoult holds court over a crowd of his believers. He scratches at his fungus-covered skin. His body is a strange combination of malnourished and bloated, different parts either bulging or sagging. His robes are finely made, but unable to fit his twisting form. His hair and beard are matted and long, blowing in the oppressively warm wind. Foulcoult preaches a complete dismissal of all laws, not as a benevolent anarchist, but to allow him and his followers to do whatever they want and surrender themselves to their basest and most violent urges. He preaches that anyone who speaks against them is a vile, inhuman enemy who must be crushed. He preaches that such people are jealous, or even worse, poor, a failing of their souls and a perversity of their minds that must be cleansed with fire. He speaks much of the saints. The sisters are a lie. Their laws are a lie. The laws of the sisters would bind you, hold you down, when your natural instinct is to go forth, to do as you will. You have a set goal here. Assassinate Merek Foulcoult. The crowd is ecstatic. Some listening, some screaming in support, some fighting with each other. All smile joyously from vacuous faces as they stab and beat and trample on each other. The amphitheater is surrounded by crumbling spiked walls to keep out unbelievers, though, with the assistance of Dog, you are allowed past the guards at the gate easily. The amphitheater is a crumbling old arena, able to seat up to 2,000 people at a time, and it now holds at least that many. The seating descends in concentric circles, each with a jump or climb between them of around 6 feet or so. You might be watching this for a time, and at a certain point, a herd of pigs is accompanied to the altar and slaughtered. Their blood is drained into large bowls, which are passed around the crowds for them to pour over their heads, staining them red. Merek is at a podium in the center of the amphitheater, kind of a raised area with a lectern, a number of bodyguards, and then before him, the altar where the pigs were just sacrificed. And before the altar, there is a pit. You can't quite see what's in the pit unless you get high up into the stands or close to the pit. But there is an iron fence around the pit, presumably to keep something in that might be in the pit. At a certain point, someone in the crowd raises a small dissenting point against Foulcoult's preaching. Foulcoult singles them out as a liar and a traitor. He calls on his followers to punish them, and they do, stamping and trampling the poor soul to death and ripping their body apart, which just causes the crowd to become even more ecstatic and frenzied. And as in my background picture, in the air, flecks of glowing orange floating about. Let's just have the scene with the three of you having just come through the gate, watching this for a time. Dog says,
"My lady, my beautiful stew princess, I've taken you as far as I can. I bid you good luck. And if you manage to survive, I do hope you will stop at the walls and say farewell."
Diane just sort of waves them off.
indeed, you see,
She wants to, she's like staring at this pit with the fence around it, wondering what's in there. What could possibly be in there? It's, how big is this pit? Is it like,
I would say it's probably about like 20 feet in diameter.
Amanda wants it to be a rancor, like from Star Wars. Diane is staring at this pit, trying to figure out what could possibly be in it and if it's worth any money. Because why else would you want to keep it separate from the crowds? It has to be worth something.
I think Vidal notices her staring at it and says, "This is a place of madness. Let us keep our mission in mind
It's not going to hurt us to get a
Purposely.
little extra treasure on the side, though.
I'm not
We'll
going to
be
argue
lucky
with
to
that.
escape. We'll be lucky to escape with our lives, and if we wish to take this heretic alive, we do not need to be burdened down by any baubles.
Well, you didn't say that when I was kicking you over that silver earlier.
Well,
So he must have somewhere he goes after his little speech. If we can find out where that is, we can lay a trap.
Looking down at this amphitheater, I assume there's like a stage of some sort for him to
Yeah,
be
in the
preaching
center, there's like a
on.
little raised dais in the middle. Yeah.
Is there? You said it's a semicircle, right?
No, it's a circle. Yeah.
Oh, it's a circle. Okay.
Mhm.
Does he have
So
a tent or something in the center, or is it just he comes out onto the dais and,
He just
does
comes
his
out into the dais,
thing?
yeah. But assuming that he comes out from the sort of a central point, you do see another corridor along the circle, kind of like what you came through just now as you're kind of at the edge, but like in another place directly behind the amphitheater. You could make a hunt roll to get more information, I suppose.
Sure.
What did you end up with?
I got a 3.
A 3.
Hmm.
You shouldn't let me roll stuff, guys.
We'll come back to that. Revel, what are you doing?
I think he's going to be trying to make some kind of mental map of the amphitheater. Like if they came in through that path, how many flights down would they need to get to the ground floor? So yeah, I guess he's hunting.
Yeah, I'm into it. Go ahead and make a roll.
Would appraisal apply here?
Sure, yeah, I'll take it.
A 6. Put the wrong character name.
Good. Take a token. We'll get back to that. And what are you doing right now, Vidal?
I think Vidal is curious as to, having had his attention drawn to this caged off area by Diane, he's wondering what's in there and if whatever it is might be a potential source of a distraction. If it is some kind of monstrosity, which the fence or the cage would suggest, if he could release it, it might cause enough panic amongst the crowd that
I'm going to follow up
he
with
can-
Diane's encounter something terrible, since you're also focusing on the pit. At a certain point, something crawls up to the iron fencing around the pit. It actually looks kind of like a couple of fused together people, heavily infected by the orange fungus. And you can't see the bottom of them, just their sort of like fused together upper halves. They stretch up and they're like, and one of Merek's guards goes up to the fence and uses a spear to like spear them and knock them back down into the pit. And Merek continues preaching, angry at the sisters, condemning people to be trampled and torn apart, calling forth for ideals of selfish pursuit of one's pleasures and interests. Vidal, you kind of got your answer somewhat. What do you do then?
I think Vidal is trying to figure out if there's a way to unleash this thing from the pit.
I will follow up with Revel's 6 on the hunt roll. And I will tell you, Revel, that based off what you were, you were kind of like assessing the situation, entrances, exits, that kind of thing. There appears to be no particular way into the pit other than just to be thrown into it, as best you can tell. There are behind one of the, or at one of the entrances into the arena, you see a particular collection of like soldiers and guards, more heavily guarded than the other entrances. This is almost certainly the way that Merek is going to leave. I'll go back to you again, Vidal. Vidal, what are you doing?
He'll turn to the other two and say, there. Perhaps if we wait for him there, we can ambush him on as he leaves. But we need some kind of distraction, otherwise this crowd of lunatics will swarm us before we can have any chance of success.
Revel, that thing you did when we first got here, when we first came up the wall, where you made things float.
My party trick, yes.
Could you possibly float something over, let's say, an iron fence?
Probably. Stopping might be difficult.
I think we might be able to pull off Vidal's idea. Set this thing loose. See what it can do. Maybe if we want to catch it later and sell it for a good, bit of money, we could do that. But it would be a good distraction. And do we
Almost
really need to
certainly.
stop it if it's not worth anything?
I have no intention of getting any closer than necessary to that creature, but I think
How
from
far
this
away do you
crowd,
need to be, Revel?
Fair. How far do I need to be?
I mean, I guess it just depends on, so what is the plan here precisely?
I would think lift might be useful to make it fall up out of the pit.
So the attempt is to like lift it up out of the pit and let it drop. I think at a minimum,
the
you have to be
crowd.
able to, I think you have to be able to see it at a minimum.
So
Yeah,
closer
and then-
would be better.
and then I guess we're just hoping in the panic we can get close to our target.
Well, what if you guard the exit door over there that we think he's going to go for? And I have a way with people. I could probably find us a bodyguard or two, maybe. I can head down with Revel, see about this, whatever it is. Set that thing
Okay.
free. Bada bing, bada boom. Gold in our pockets.
Don't get distracted by your desire for wealth. Remember why we are here. But yes,
I'm
desire of
here for
wealth.
wealth.
but our wealth will come from completing our task. We will not complete it if we are stopping to pick up every minor trinket along the way.
Well, do you have a better idea?
No, I think the plan sounds as good as any, but I'm just warning you to keep your wits about you and keep your mind on the goal.
I think while you're all hashing out this plan, a person wanders over to you and she says, she's not infected, as best you can tell, certainly not like the dancer was. She steps over to you and she says, Isn't this amazing to hear the words of our prophet, of our master on this day? I can barely contain myself. It's almost more than I can bear. The excitement. Oh, the excitement. And she just starts vomiting from excitement, just puking right at your feet. She's so excited. She says, "Oh, excuse me. Tell me." She says, I don't think I've seen you here before."
Vidal just steps back in distaste from this display, you know, his own stomach starting to churn in sympathy with.
She says, "Oh, but you, I see your hand." And she goes for your hand. "You have received the blessing. Yes. That's splendid. That's splendid. Are you perhaps here? Are you perhaps here to offer your body to the pit?"
Perhaps, but I'm not ready yet.
"My lord," she cries out, "my lord,
Well,
someone has received your blessing. They are here. They are here to give themselves to you." And there's like a cheer going up.
Revel, if you are going to do something, now would be a good time.
I gotta get closer. I'll
Come.
come with you.
And Merek says, "Yes, bring them forth to the pit."
and Diane says, "Yes, he wants to go to the pit," and starts dragging Vidal down the
Vidal,
opening.
this zealot woman, and Revel, what are you doing?
Revel's gonna take Vidal's other arm and pretend to drag him.
Indeed.
But I think he's also going to quickly quaff his healing potion of silvery liquid.
You can do that. You can reduce your ruin by 1. Yes. It is. She looks at you and she says, You are going to be so. I have to tell you, my own husband gave himself to the pit recently, and I can still hear his screams. They echo in my mind. The suffering, the pain, the terror, and yet it was his choice to suffer. It was his choice to feel that pain and that terror. Oh.
Oh, Vidal, aren't you excited?
Rebel, lift the thing from the pit.
Yeah, when we get close. Yeah.
You get close to the fence, and a couple of Merek's guards, they are also not infected, by the way. They come up, they have spears, and they're otherwise just, they look like they're dressed like Old Kaleczenie, city guards. And Merek now just tens of feet away at his lectern, just beyond the sacrificial altar. Diane, you can see when he speaks, flecks of orange coming out of his mouth. He says, yes, the pit, the very symbol of that which we strive against. We strive for individuality, but the pit is when many become one. Your sacrifice is a reminder, friend, a reminder of what we are trying to avoid. The morass of helplessness, the loss of individuality. And that is what the sisters would have of us. Your sacrifice is great indeed. And now you can look down into the pit, all of you, and see that it is a collection of fungally infected citizens that have formed into one gestalt entity. It's impossible to tell whose limbs and teeth and voice belongs to whom. The fungus surrounds them, stretching and contracting. You can see ooze pouring out of this sort of gestalt entity. You can see one person who's not quite fused in so much trying to escape, but the rest sort of reach up and drag him back, and he screams. And it's just a murmur of voices in and around. Rebel, what's the plan here?
It's too much for Vidal. He just Vidal's stomach betrays him at this point, and he's just collapsing in as Diane and
Look
Rebel
how
holding him up.
excited he is, my lord. He is so excited to make the sacrifice for Old Kaleczenie, for all of us. Revel, what's the plan?
Revel's going to just try and subtly cast the ritual. So he'll kind of pull up his collar and tilt his head down and summon the ritual and whistle it down into the pit.
Yeah, Amanda and Rob, what could go wrong here?
Oh, he lands it right on top of us.
That's what I was thinking. It works really well, and indeed is right in the middle of you.
Yeah.
So let's talk about dice. Do you have a relevant skill here?
Rituals.
Rituals, I'll take it. And Devil's Bargains. This feels like a fun space for Devil's Bargains. Who has one to offer?
What if, no matter what, man, I want someone to fall into the pit. Someone falls into the pit.
I'm going to say, I'm going to say one of the three of you, no matter what, falls into the pit, to be clear. My offer is going to be, no matter what, you see a fabulous treasure inside the entity.
I was going to say, no matter what, Foulcoult is not, he's wise enough, smart enough to realize who it is that's doing this, lifting this thing.
Yeah.
I like discovering the treasure inside of the thing.
Yeah. It opens up some interesting possibilities and options, I think. Let's talk about Stu Dice. Risk, roll 2 light, 1 dark. Take it away.
Dark 6.
Hey, dark 6. That's full success. You are going to cause enough distraction to, I guess, is the plan to grab Merek right now? Is that the idea?
I mean,
think our original plan was to, oh, sorry.
Please go ahead.
Oh, I think our original plan was to cause a disruption so that Merek would leave and then catch him out that door.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But
yeah, catch him on the way somehow. Yeah,
that sounds good. I like it. That'll happen. Your ruin goes up, Revel. Describe just the ritual for now.
So he'll kind of lean just a little bit over the edge because he wants the range to be big enough that the creature can get out. And he will whistle the ritual. And as the sound kind of reverberates in the area, first the stones start to lift and then heavier things. And then the creature starts to rise up. And just soon everybody's looking up at it instead of down. And Revel just takes a step back and says, good enough, Vidal? Cut it too fine for you?
It's a start. Now, bring it down on the crowd.
Well, that part's out of my control.
Merek, Diane, his guards are already like surrounding him, and he's making a beeline out towards that entrance that I pointed out earlier. Revel and Vidal, you will notice that as the thing is flying overhead and presumably going to be dropped somewhere in the middle of the amphitheater, you will see that one of the people fused into it is holding a very large diamond, a diamond that would be worth a fabulous amount of money. Who has does anybody have appraisal? You have appraisal, don't you, Revel?
I do.
It's a 6 gold diamond.
Revel's eyes are going to lock on that and say, we're coming back for that.
You may come back for it if you wish. But come.
Oh, I do.
Foulcoult is making his escape. Now is our chance.
Diane is going to yell out to Foulcoult to tell him to stop using compel.
Oh, very interesting. Interesting indeed. I will tell you that because of the fungus, he is immune to mind alterings and suggestions. But you've learned that at least.
Yeah.
That does not work. And he's continuing off out of the arena.
Diane, come quickly. And
You can follow behind. The crowd is kind of like in various states of like shock and fear and ecstasy. It's just chaos, basically, as this thing kind of like flails and roils around and stretches out limbs and screams and pulls people into it, and other people try to escape it, and it's just a mess.
How many guards are surrounding Foulcoult?
They're already down the corridor and leaving the arena. You can go down that corridor and
Right.
follow them.
Yeah, I'm absolutely following them. Yeah,
Because there's a chaos.
wondering if there
Nobody's
are-
going to stop you in the chaos.
I'm just wondering what my chances of smiting the guards are.
Let's see. What is your what does the exact text of your ritual say?
Strike with a spiritual weapon.
Interesting. I guess it just depends on what you intend to do. Probably, I mean, I think like as you get to the corridor, by the time you all get down to the corridor, Merek is already like, you can't even see Merek anymore. There's just guards, right? And he's being like kind of like pushed out the exit of the arena. You can follow right behind. If you start smiting a guard or multiple guards, they're going to turn on you. If you let them go, they're going to go. But you can still follow.
Yeah, the key thing is to try and separate him from the guards, or, you know, now we successfully distracted the crowd, we need to get the guards off him as well, somehow.
I might be able to use compel on the guards,
Yeah. I think that probably work.
but smiting is more fun. So
We shall see.
Why not both?
This set passes without set goal complete. And goes into the next set goal, which is called the parade. And we shall pick up with the parade when we come back from our break in 5. The parade. Merek Foulcoult begins gathering people around him immediately. As he's leaving the corridor, he begins crying out to his supporters who are waiting outside the amphitheater and rapidly swarming around him in joy, ecstasy. His followers don severed and hollowed animal heads. Goats, pigs, wolves, cows, dancing wildly, singing incomprehensible songs. Others waving torches, even though it's the middle of the day, and with no concern if their torches set things or people on fire. The guards eventually will even just like lose Merek in the parade, not even able to keep around him anymore themselves. The streets of Old Kaleczenie, walkways and paths are crumbling and war-torn. The buildings flanking the streets are burned out and graffitied with Foulcoult's various slogans. The streets are also filled with his supporters, and a few people brave enough to protest against him. You have a set goal here, which is to follow the parade into the Citadel. Unless you can think of a better way of grabbing him now.
Yeah, I mean, I was starting to think about an idea of we kind of, lift him up onto our shoulders and, parade with him and then head toward the boats at some point. Yeah.
That would be an interesting thing to do.
Can I?
Ooh,
I like that idea a lot. How far away is he? Are we kind of close to him, or?
I mean, more and more people are forming around him rapidly, like as the moments pass, right?
Yeah.
More and more people are getting put between you and him.
Vidal, you have the ritual carve. Could we make
do.
someone else look like him by subtracting bits of their face?
Ah.
If
We
you find
could
someone with a
try.
beard, maybe.
Yeah, we could try, or alternatively, and equally disgustingly, we could make him look like someone else. That's an interesting possibility that we kind of, if we can get hold of him.
There are more and more people now between you and Merek Foulcoult. The parade is getting thicker and bigger, and you are getting further and further behind in it.
How many people can I compel at one time?
You can probably compel like a crowd briefly.
All right, I would like to yell at this crowd to part because the stew princess is coming through.
It is a risk roll. Ben, Rob, what could go wrong here?
Oh, they become more excited about the stew princess than Foulcoult, and instead of parting, they kind of swarm you rather than swarming him.
I was thinking something similar, but maybe out of anger, they swarm you.
My thing was pretty close, yeah.
Dice. Do you have a relevant skill, Diane?
Other than obfuscation, possible. Well, no, I can't really think of a way I can obfuscate this situation.
It feels a little tight. I mean, well, the crown actually can give you a die.
Oh yeah, I do have the crown.
Yeah.
I'm going to just gesture to the crown that I'm still wearing.
Right. Fabulous. Devil's bargains.
I mean, I could adapt what I was suggesting as a fail condition there. If no matter what, the crowd is, some portion of the crowd is now following you.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. I was going to say, no matter what, I'm going to say, like, no matter what, you reach the Citadel, whether you want to or not, because it's not far, and you are one of the main attractions, but you're close to Merek.
I like that a lot.
If you succeed, you're close to Merek.
Yeah, that sounds fun. I like that.
Ben, did you want to make an offer, or?
Thinking like Foulcoult would know you as a competitor, a threat to the attention.
That's also fun. I think I'll take the being a also a attraction at the Citadel, because then we can also later do that if we wanted to.
Sounds good. So let's see how this journey to the Citadel is going to go.
So I got 1 light, 1 dark.
You currently have 2 light
Oh,
and
2,
1
yes.
dark. Yeah, which is the most you can start with. Let me take a look at your conditions, though. I think because of the prophecy, I'm going to give you an extra dark die.
All right, I already rolled 2 light die and 1 dark die, so I'll just roll a second dark die.
Yeah, roll a
too.
second dark die. Okay, so it's a 3 light, which is a fail. Would you like to add a dark die and try again?
Yes.
Or take help from one of your
I'll try a
fellows?
dark die first, and then
Go for it.
Diane will reach out for help.
Actually, no, you have to roll the whole thing. You got to roll 2
Oh, I
light,
have to
2
roll the
dark.
whole thing again?
Yeah, 2 light,
Got
2
you.
dark.
Yes,
Yeah.
of course, that makes sense.
Or 2 light, 3 dark. Yeah.
So do you want me to roll 2 light, 3 dark, or 2 light and 2 dark in order to make up for that 1 dark that I just rolled? Just to make things complicated.
Just roll 2 light, 3 dark. Just roll it like fresh. 5 dark. That's a success. The complication is going to be you are close to Merek, but Vidal and Revel are not.
Oof.
And you have to stop there. And although one of your companions can do a help, and if they get a 6, then that's the best result.
Yeah, I was wondering if I can kind of help by using just an authoritative commanding voice to try and.
Yeah, if you want to do that and roll weak, if you get a 4, 5, or 1, your ruin goes up.
Let's try it. Yeah, so Vidal just kind of is lending his voice in support of what Diane's trying to do here and convincing the. No, I got a 4, so that my ruin doesn't go up.
Your ruin goes up and it doesn't help either. And so give me the scene, Diane, you getting close to Merek, but getting separated from the others.
I think in her most regal voice, because she used to be a courtesan, she can do some things a little bit regally, or at least she thinks she can. Diane calls out to the crowd, "Make way for the stew, princess!" And her arms in the air, gesturing to her crown, she strolls, almost glides into the crowd, as they part. But they part and they just sort of surround her back again. So it's like walking through a swimming pool and the water just fills back in, so the other 2 cannot easily follow.
Indeed. The parade pushes you along. Pushes you along to the citadel. It is called the Citadel Mortis de Jora, or de Jezora, yeah. The Citadel Mortis de Jezora, that is the next set. The Citadel Mortis de Jezora was previously the headquarters of the city's branch of government, but has been overtaken by Foulcoult. He has many followers and guests, including the richest in the city. Your set goal here: slay the final form of Merek Foulcoult and claim his head as a trophy. I think, Diane, you get pushed deep into the citadel, into the throne room. Vidal and Revel, you're still back in the gardens. You haven't even made it inside the building yet. Let's talk about the gardens. The overgrown citadel gardens were once a well-kept gallery of extraordinary topiary, but are now overrun with the fungus, which clings to and connects to every tree, plant, and statue. Now, much of the parade is kind of wandered off but there's still quite a few converted zealots and even a few of the dancers, twitchy dancers. That's getting pretty bad on you now at this point, Vidal, by the way. In the garden. But across the way in the garden, you see the entrance into the actual structure, which is where the Stew Princess and Merek Foulcoult went into. So let's just have the scene with the two of you there.
Diane is separated from us again. Come, Revel, there's no time to be lost. We must get inside.
I agree. Do you see how?
There is the entrance before us now.
Yeah, and there's those things right there.
Yeah, I think there are like two dancers right by the entrance, just scratching and like they do a thing where like they scratch each other's like big pustules and like drink the pus like cats drinking from an udder, right? Like,
and yeah, with that, Vidal gags at the sight of that, and but he says, "I can deal with them, Revel," and he's going to smite them out of the way.
Sounds good. I love it. Let's do a risk roll. Amanda, Ben, what could go wrong?
It just draws the attention of the crowd and other dancers.
Yeah, I was gonna say it just gets worse. Like you're just having to deal with a big, huge crowd then.
I think also some of the pus gets on you in your eyes or some other orifice that will be very gross. Like ears, nothing that gross.
Let's talk dice. Do you have a skill that is relevant here, Vidal? Rituals, I guess.
Well, I have rituals, and I was also thinking strength. You know, it's just like
yeah.
This is a kind of no holds barred, just out of my
Blast.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it very much. Let's talk about Devil's Bargains. Mine's a harsh one. My Devil's Bargain is the infection takes over and Revel has to drag you along through the Citadel until it can be tamped down in some way for a little while.
Mine wasn't quite that harsh, but that you would start getting the urge to dance.
Mine
They feel
is
similar to me,
but
yeah.
it's instead of getting the urge to dance, you are getting the urge because you are a zealot. You're getting the urge to worship. You're getting the urge to be a follower of Merek and whatever this orange mushroom thing is.
I'm going to have to end up smiting myself, but I think I like that last one.
So you're like actually being converted here.
Yeah, I think, you know, there's this voice inside of Vidal's head that's saying, oh, you know, what Merek is saying makes sense.
I'm going to give you it's going to satisfy itself with the condition, the prophecy. But go ahead and roll 2 light, 1 dark, risk roll. Nice, 6 light. Yeah, it's good. Go ahead and describe how you get past these two dancers and into the building.
Yeah, so I think Vidal is now, you know, visibly in a lot of discomfort. He's twitching and you know, gagging, and he's hunched over, but there's also a determined step to his determined direction to his movements, and he just kind of strides as best he can toward these things with Revel. And you know, as they're approaching them, just as the two dancers turn to look at them, he just kind of pushes out his hand, and they're just thrown back against the sides of the doorway and you know, almost crushed against the stone. And you know, their skulls split open, limbs are broken in, but in strange angles, and yeah, we just march right past them into the citadel.
Very good. Meanwhile, in the throne room has lost much of its guilt. It is currently filled with a festering melange of corpses, statues, childlike portraits on the walls, various strange artworks that Foulcoult seems to have commissioned. There is a group of people, perhaps the wealthiest and most trusted people in the city, and you, Diane, and Merek. There are various celebrations breaking out in the throne room. Nobles copulating with corpses, frantic, feverish, and Merek the whole time. Yes, take what is yours, take what you will, do as you will. Do not be bound by the morality of the sisters. Do it! And you'll also notice that there are corpses hanging from chandelier gibbets in the throne room. And someone walks up behind you and says, "Stew Princess, you are here at an auspicious time. Now is when our Lord gives himself to the flame. Are you, perhaps, the one who will lead us when he is gone?"
Why else would the Stew Princess be here?
Yes, there is a certain logic to it, isn't there? Yes, yes.
Unfortunately, I do need some parts of him to not burn in this fire, particularly the head.
Oh, I don't think you need to worry about that at all. For you see, our Lord tells us that he will not be burned up. He will be transformed into a god that will go forth from the walls of Old Kaleczenie and speak amongst the people, who will begin to raise the banners against the sisters.
Yes, of course I know that. Everyone knows that. And then, of course, the Stew Princess arrives just in time in order to ensure that this goes the right way. Because if it doesn't go the right way, then this god he becomes actually a god of destruction, destroying everything we here have worked for in Old Kaleczenie. I'm sure you know that part too.
Yes, of course. Oh, look. And then here you'll notice that they have just finished placing the last bits of wood on a pyre behind the throne. And they are soaking the pyre with fuel. And they have taken off, ritually removed Merek's robes, revealing his body that is in turns withered and shrunken, but also bulbous and extended, and all of it covered in the terrible orange sores. And he is stepping forth. They begin pouring oils over him. And he says, "Yes, the medium of transfiguration, of transmutation, of transportation as it dribbles over him. Meanwhile, back in the Citadel, or at least the entry portion of it, you are now in the hallways. The halls of the Citadel are winding and labyrinthine. Maurice de Gisora has a rotten and fetid grandeur with deep and luxurious carpets that squelch underfoot with decaying mushrooms. The strange fungus covers the ostentatious hand-painted wallpaper. What do you do? Where do you go?
There are no other people here.
No, this is actually surprisingly empty.
I think, yeah, so I think Vidal is casting around trying to figure out if we can hear anything or any sign of which way Foulcoult must have gone.
Make a hunt roll.
Yeah. I use skills for that, right? So,
or equipment if you have a relevant piece of equipment or a useful piece of equipment.
I have the skill of secrets. I don't know if that.
That might be interesting.
Stretch, I think.
If you narrate what you're doing differently, perhaps.
Yeah, just kind of if I were a mad prophet king, where would my secret inner sanctum be located?
Good, I'll take
this
that,
kind
yeah.
of in this kind of architecture.
That's good. Yeah, go ahead and roll 2 dice.
5.
Take your token, but you encounter something terrible. You will notice as you're looking around that the strange fungus covering the wallpaper is actually composed of Foulcoult's earliest and most fervent followers. Closer inspection of the orange and white fungus shows a mixture of pulsing flesh, leering faces, and grasping hands. Don't get close to the walls. What are you doing in the meantime, Revel?
I think Revel is going to be looking through his backpack and pulling out the glob of chewed up herbal remedy that he found. And I think he's going to, having noticed the shape Vidal is in, he's going to hold it out to Vidal and say, "This might help."
Do you take the chewed, masticated herbal matter and consume it, Vidal?
I think his stomach is already churning, and the idea of putting that into his mouth is almost making him vomit right on the spot. I think he pushes it away and wants no part of it.
No, you hold on to it, and if things get really dire, it might come in handy. Couldn't be worse than becoming one of those things, right?
That's true. Nothing worse. Indeed. Come. Do you see the way to proceed?
Well, I don't hear any screaming. That would have been a good clue, but
Or indeed Diane's voice calling out about her being the stew princess.
she's gotten a lot of mileage out of that one. Yeah, just gonna move further into the hall. Maybe are there open doors? Are there
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of it is described as labyrinthine. Um, just tell me how you might be trying to navigate it. Vidal didn't have much luck figuring out anything particularly insightful.
I mean, between appraisal and improvisation, uh,
Feels like a bit of a stretch. You can just do a one die roll if you want.
yeah, I think that's the way I'll go. A 4.
Take your token, but you'll also encounter something terrible. I will tell you that as you're going around, you will see that there is finery and jewelry fused into the fungus on the walls, and it could be dug up if you were to be willing to dig from the fleshy, pulsing parts of it.
Oh, I've got a silver tip dagger. It seems useful. Yeah, I think I'll just take a look at what Vidal is doing for a moment and then try and cut out a piece of something shiny.
Yeah, indeed. Vidal, what are you doing in the meantime?
I think just casting around, trying to, mentally navigate a way to, whatever direction is the furthest from the outside, I think is the most productive
Indeed.
route to follow. So
I think we'll give you a risk roll to navigate the hallways to reach the throne room. We'll come back to it though. I want to check in with Diane. Diane.
Diane is watching this scene with the liquid, the oil being poured over Merek, this preparation for whatever is about to happen. And I think she's going to, Diane leans towards this person that was talking to her and says, and since you're familiar with the prophecy of the Sioux Princess and how Merek Foulcoult will become a god and all of that stuff, I assume you would be amenable to assisting your princess.
What did you have in mind, my lady?
And I think Diane's going to reach into her pocket and pull out that piece of orange mushroom that she has. I will give you this. This is blessed. This is wondrous. I will give this to you. If before he transforms, you chop off the head of Merek Foulcoult and bring it to me, your princess, he will still become a god, of course. That is the prophecy. It will happen. But I do need his head.
This is a risk roll. Ben and Rob, what could go wrong here?
obvious answer is that he figures out that she's, yanking his chain and does not trust.
Yeah,
Her
I
motives are
think
pure
that like
here.
you get called out as an assassin and have to deal with that. Let's talk about dice. Obfuscation, I'll take that, and flattery. I think both apply in myths, but you still just get one light die. Devil's bargains. Who has a bargain to offer?
No matter what, he requires you to trade something of yourself in return for the head. Some physical piece of yourself.
You are going to be seen as meddling in the ways of gods, just like he is, and the sisters are going to be mad.
That'll be fun. Let's earn the ire of the church. I'm going to say no matter what, you will be asked to light the pyre.
Diane would happily light the pyre anyway. I like the having to trade something physical of herself. I feel like that fits in very well with this cult.
Mm-hmm. It's just a risk too light for now. It's not inherently dangerous yet. Go ahead and roll risk 2. Light.
I rolled a 4.
The complication is going to be, he's going to do it. He's got a saber. He's going to take the creature's head. The complication is going to be the guards seal off the throne room.
Oh no.
You can
I
add a
don't
dark
want
die
that.
if you'd like.
I'm gonna add a dark die. Oops. Did it again. It doesn't save my rolls.
Is this your new one? 5 light?
Yeah.
Same result. You can add another dark die and try again.
I'm in so much trouble. Oh my gosh.
It's a 4. You must stop now.
Yep.
4 dark. Your rune goes up too, I think.
Yep. Yeah, because I'm at 3.
He takes the fungus and says, "Yes, I will do it in fulfillment of the prophecy. If you offer me your hand."
Oh, I'm not the marrying type.
I says, "Oh, neither am I." And then he goes over to the pyre with his saber, trying to get jostling up front for a spot near the pyre as Merek steps up to it. You can also see that the guards are closing off the doors and sealing the throne room up currently. Meanwhile, Vidal, you are trying to navigate the hallways. How are you doing so?
At this point, I think Vidal's just getting desperate. He's, the infection is getting worse. The nausea is not getting any better. And, he's just also just has this nagging feeling that he's missing his shot here to get close to Foulcoult. So I think he's just desperately trying to, almost instinctively navigate his way through here as just as fast as possible, taking, he's using gut feel for like what the rough direction he's heading, just trying to head away from the outside, but there's not really a whole lot of rhyme or reason to which routes he's picking, but he's just in a hurry.
Revel, you can take 1 gold worth of gems from the wall if you wish. Vidal, risk roll. Ben and Amanda, what could go wrong?
We get completely separated and you are elsewhere.
I think there's some sort of I want like a carve ritual backfire to happen. Some sort of sorcerous subtraction gets applied to you.
I mean, Vidal is just like trying to navigate hallways right now, right? I mean,
But I suppose that's probably too harsh, but something small, in a getting lost, getting turned around, brain not working great.
yeah. I was gonna say that I was gonna say like the fail condition is you like become part of the walls. let's talk about dice. I will take secrets, I guess, as a light die. And then devil's bargains. I'm going to say no matter what, you have to deal with one dancer on the way.
No matter what, the fungus begins to speak to you.
Yeah, I can't think of anything better than that. That's awesome.
Sounds pretty good.
Yeah, that's too good to. Yeah, I think it's whispering to me of the rightness of
Yes, the prophecy.
Foulcoult's preachings. Yeah. Okay,
Risk
so is that
two light,
one dark?
2 light, 1 dark. Yeah. Well, I don't. You're just navigating hallways. I don't think it's inherently dangerous yet.
Well, I'm taking that devil's bargain, right? So
That's just a thing that happens in the fiction. So it, regardless. So you can add a dark die later, but for now, I think it's just too light.
okay, so just two light. It's a 5.
5 dark. The complication is going to be you're going to reach. You succeed, so you'll reach the throne room, but then, but the complication is Revel then has to deal with you not succumbing to the prophecy. You can add a dark die and try again if you wish. Roll risk 2-1.
Say what again? What the condition was on?
You're going to succeed because you got a 5, but the complication is by the time you get there, Revel has to save you from the prophecy. You're giving yourself over to the prophecy.
Yeah, I feel like the right decision is here that because Vidal is trying to push forward as quickly as he can, it makes sense to add that dark die to the binary roll. He's not thinking about consequences.
Go for it. Risk 2-1.
This is probably a dumb move, but
Yep, it's a good move. 6 light. That's what you want.
6 light, yeah.
You succeed. I am curious though, as you give us the scene here, as you navigate to the throne room, how does the speaking of the walls, the speaking of the fungus, how does it affect you? Like, what does it look like?
I think, yeah, Vidal has had this whispering voice for a few moments now in the back of his mind, an inner voice. Just this itching feeling that, there is something to what Foulcoult is saying, and the sisters, what do we really know of what the sisters want or intend for us? And we should be masters of our own fate. And the walls now seem to just be whispering an agreement to yes, you should not be the tool of the sisters. Listen to the prophet. And he's just cursing and spitting under his breath and gagging and trying to block this out as best he can by just pushing forward blindly.
I love it.
As quickly as possible before he runs out of time.
Revel, you arrive at the entrance to the throne room. You hear the various, you might hear someone speak the word stew princess from the other side, so you're in the right spot. And regrettably, the doors have been barred. Meanwhile, inside the throne room, Diane, Merek steps upon the pyre and screams as he is lit on fire. The higher the flames go, his screaming becomes commands, exhortations to reject the sisters and embrace the self. As the flames consume him, he bursts out of his own skin, becoming a bloated collection of pulsating animate fungus and tattered remains of torn skin. 15 feet tall and almost as wide. It is a collection of hands and mouths spewing forth incoherent words. It is absorbing people into it. It is smashing people. It is just grabbing and eating and screaming and taking all it can. Your fellow does come through, though. He lops off the head, the Merek head, and runs to you as this thing is roiling right behind him, basically. And he says, here, as promised, the head for your hand.
I said I wasn't the marrying type.
He says,
Here, you can have this
No.
piece of mushroom. And she holds out her hand with the
he
little
flicks
orange
the
piece of mushroom.
away to the side with his saber and goes for your wrist. He intends to cut off your hand. You two hear the chaos from outside. I assume you're trying to break into the throne room.
Sorry. Yeah, I think Vidal is just going to try and carve a passage through this door, just cut a door within a door almost.
That's good. Using the carve ritual, I'll let you get in, but Diane has to do 2 rounds of combat with the thing and this guy, who's probably the least of your problems right now, before the other 2 can bust open the doors and you can get out. Describe how you're vulnerable, Diane.
Well, I have my hand captured by a person with a saber. My mushroom has been knocked away, so I can't even use that for anything. Got the head of Merek in one hand. I think I'm just completely at a loss to how I can even do anything. I think that's how I'm vulnerable.
Roll a weak point. You got a 5 as your weak point. The fungal Merek Foulcoult eating anything and everything, spouting incoherently from many mouths, pulsing and bulging and bursting, is an endurance 12. Roll combat 1, please.
I rolled a 2.
You are not dead or hurt.
That's nice.
Neither is it. Just give us the first round.
I think trying to maintain a hold on this head and pull her hand out of the grasp of this person, and trying to reach her pitchfork all at the same time is just not going to work. I think she ends up what's happening, she's leaning over to put the head down just sort of between her feet so she could keep hold of it between her feet and keep a grip on it while still having a hand free. And yeah, she'll reach behind her back and grab the pitchfork, but she's just using it it's hard, you can't stab at a hand holding her hand with a pitchfork. So she's just sort of hitting this guy's hand with the piece of wood on the handle of this pitchfork with the head between her feet.
Revel, Vidal, you can hear all these monstrous noises. You can hear the screaming. You can hear the babbling. Vidal, you're using the carve ritual to just like carve away the door. I gather that's kind of what it looks like. Revel, you might have to get into the middle of a fray as soon as this door comes down. What are you doing to prepare?
I've already got my dagger out, and I'm hastily making sure I have my amulet protection. I have 1 left at least.
Indeed, indeed. Round 2, Diane, before they get in. Combat 2. If you roll boxcars, you could kill it.
I don't think I've ever rolled boxcars in my life. No, that's not true. I have. So I have to roll another weak point. Yes.
Nope, it's the same. Still 5.
Still 5.
Yep. Roll combat 2.
I can do it.
You did it!
Holy shit.
Wow.
Oh my god. That is the best luck I've ever had, I think.
You just said too, you've never gotten boxcar. Wow. Okay. You're gonna destroy the fungal Merek Foulcoult. What does it look like?
I think with the head between her feet, slamming on this guy, trying to chop off her hand, just manages, just by sheer luck, not by talent, not by anything, just pure luck, manages to get him right on the soft spot, like right where your wrist is, on the side, and he reluctantly, releases her hand just for a moment, enough for her to get a full grip of the of the pitchfork, and instead of going after the guy trying to chop her hand off, she steps forward, her skirts taking her the head with her, and jabs the pointy end of the pitchfork right into the most bulbous, blobby part of this.
The glowing like hit point thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it hits right on the spot where if this was a video game, it would have like the, I don't know, the focus, autofocus.
Yeah. The little, what do they call that on the boss whenever the little glowing part of the boss where you they hit.
This is definitely a Zelda fight.
Yeah.
You
do, and it just like, it essentially just like destabilizes and collapses into a massive splatter of orange goo and writhing bodies and wailing people, and like there's just like torsos inside of it that are just like and even Merek, the head has been like jawing the whole time, but it stops. And that's when Vidal and Revel get into the throne room, right at the end there.
Revel will just kind of look around and said, I thought we were taking him alive.
change of plans. And I think
Sure.
Diane's going to look around at all the people that are still, if there's any people still alive in this room. I imagine there's probably a couple. Clean up this mess by order of your stew princess.
Diane, what have you done?
Just go along with it. I've got Merek's head.
This is most unexpected. Miraculous, even. Perhaps there is something to this adoration you have attained after all.
Not you two.
I've always known I was destined for great things. Just didn't realize it was this. And I think she's going to grab Merek's head by the beard or whatever it can be grabbed by, and sort of nonchalantly tosses it to Revel. Take it. I've got better things going now.
Revel's gonna like let it hit the ground and then look up and just kind of take his backpack and put it around the head.
Come, Revel, bring the head. And then Vidal just kind of throws his arms open and shouts to the crowd, make way, for a living saint walks among us. And kind of gesture for Diane and Revel to head back toward the entrance.
So we have some options here. You can make your escape from the city clean, as is, cash in your hunt roll tokens for treasures equal to that amount, and then we go to Hearthfire, meaning we're done with the incursion. Or you can backtrack, maybe try to get the diamond from the pit monster. Maybe there's more things you want to do in the bazaar. I'll also tell you that you know about a cave system that was your alternate way into the city if getting up the walls was not an option. If, for example, the ship had crashed. You can do those things as well. I'll leave it up to you. But we're going to take a 5-minute break. So what have you all decided? Take what you've got and run, or continue your explorations of...
I think that Vidal's vote is for making good our escape with the head. And with our new prize of the living saint, Diane.
How much do we get for Diane if we?
Oh, I think we'll be on the gravy train for life if we can spin her into a cult.
I mean, do you all have enough treasure to meet your burdens?
It's 3 each for turning in the head.
2 each for turning in the head.
Oh, then no.
You can cash in your hunt roll tokens for 1 gold each, but yeah.
I had met my burdens already, so that is also contributing to my decision here.
I have some treasures, but I don't have enough gold.
You can cash the treasures in. The crown is worth 3. And then I don't know what else you've got. Let's take a look.
I want to leave the crown on.
Okay. The crown is worth 3. The sample of the orange fungus is worth 1. The glob of chewed up herbal remedy is not worth anything. I mean, it had a function, but it's not outside of that function. It's not worth anything. And yeah, so otherwise it's cash in your tokens for coinage. So
I mean, also if Revel is going to Revel is in control of the head, and Vidal is not leaving without it. So if Revel doesn't want to leave, Vidal is not going to leave without him or it.
Diane wants that diamond.
And
now
you'll get 2
it.
gold each for the head as well. So that's another thing. So you'll I mean, Diane and Vidal are okay. You're not having a lot of excess money for Hearthfire, but you have some.
I'd be short 1. Oh no, wait, sorry, no, I have gold.
Yeah.
I'd be okay, yeah.
I don't think Diane will leave is the thing. I think she's found a following that will smother her in riches as far as she's concerned.
Diane's not leaving.
She's the new Merek. She's a stew princess. These are her people.
These are your people. Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. If Vidal and Diane want to remain in Old Kaleczenie to pursue craziness, you can certainly do that.
The best way to get to any kind of forbidden festival is become a god amongst people, right?
But Diane, if you return to Old Kaldur, to Fort Durin with us, I will preach the word of your sainthood among the people there.
You can preach the word of my sainthood without me there. In fact, it'd probably be even more mysterious. Then people would make pilgrimages here. More money.
And get killed at the top of the tower like we almost were. This isn't a place to grow your influence. You need to leave this prison of a city.
I disagree.
This is a dying place.
We can make
Diane.
changes here. This could be our city.
Ours.
Yes. The 3 of us, they need leaders. I, of course, would be the top leader. Gotta have a top leader. But every good leader has, strong fighters standing behind her.
And heralds preaching her virtues to the masses.
That too.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, we lead this place. We can tell people to get that diamond from that thing for us.
And do what with it?
We can still trade with other cities. We can turn this into the world's largest trading hub. We could make this city the richest place in counties and countries and nations. Yeah?
But my lady, I fear this infection. This
Is it-
fungus.
Is it an infection or is it a blessing?
Revel, I think they've lost it. What is your plan?
Is there anything in the room that I can take as I sneak away
Yes, that's
with
what.
the head?
Well, if you had any hunt roll tokens, I would say yes.
Oh, I'm going to need those to. Oh, I'm confused. Yeah, if I'm not turning the hunt roll tokens in, then yeah, I'll turn them into treasure.
Treasure, you can absolutely do that. Yeah.
And then, yeah, I'm going to just start sneaking back while they discuss how they'll grow their influence.
If they don't come back with you, you can collect the bounty yourself. Revel.
I don't think Vidal is going to let the head get away, although much as he may be tempted to preach the word of Diane, the head is also very important.
Contest roll for Revel to escape or not. With the head, that is.
I like it, yeah, to see if he can sneak away without
Revel.
Vidal following.
Revel, this is how it ends.
It is,
yep. With your two companions helping you haven't gotten the head, but clearly succumbing to Old Kaleczenie and its charms. Let's remind ourselves how the hunt roll works. I believe we have that somewhere. Well, on the dark sheet, there's a explanation of the rules. I don't know if there is on this one or not. There may not be, but I'll look it up in the book.
But I have there is a dark sheet in here. So
Oh, yeah, there is a contest rule explanation on the reference tab in L80.
Oh, I see it now. I didn't scroll over enough. Thank you. Okay, the contest roll. Yeah. When treasure hunters act against each other, compete, or otherwise want to inflict harm on each other, first agree what's at stake. And I think it sounds like what's at stake is does Revel escape with the head or not, essentially, is what it boils down to. If you both agree, then you'll gather light dice, one light die for a skill, if it would help. So do either of you have a skill that is good here?
I think improvisation's going to work to my favor.
Yeah.
I'll also let you have a light die for just like leaning into your infection as well, Vidal, if you'd rather go that route.
Yeah, I don't think I have anything that I can really justify here. I feel like any of my skills would be a stretch.
Do you want to lean into the infection as the basis for your first light die?
What are you suggesting there? I'm not quite sure.
It'll give you an extra. I'm going to give you an extra dark die as well.
But like lean in how?
Like that's just it's the insanity is driving you forward here.
Yeah, I guess the single-mindedness that he's always had of this mission that we've been given, and the essential nature of that, and not getting distracted.
Indeed.
And much as his zealotry is kind of almost transferred onto Diane, given that she was the one that finished off Foulcoult by herself.
Indeed. You each also take a light die for every point of ruin you currently have. So for Revel, that's 5, and for Vidal, that's 4. So the current die pool stands at 4 for Vidal and 5 for Vidal and 6 for Revel. Then you take a dark die if the contest is inherently dangerous. I think it is for you, Vidal. So you're at 1 dark die. And then take as many additional dark dice as you are willing to risk. You count up all the results that come up 6. And then whoever has the most 6s is the winner. Each dark die that comes up 1 increases your ruin by 1. So the current stand right now is 5 light, 1 dark for Vidal, and 6 light for Revel. Same number of dice, but no dark dice for Revel yet. You can decide secretly how many dark dice you want to put in your pool and type that into the risk roll. So Vidal, at a minimum, you're doing 5 light and 1 dark, and Revel, at a minimum, you're doing 6 light, and then any extra dark dice you wish.
Right.
Whenever you are locked and loaded, say so, and we'll hit roll and see who wins.
All
I'm
set.
ready.
Revel's all set.
I'm ready.
Go ahead and hit the result. Hit roll. Revel got 2 6s and Vidal got 2 6s. Now we go to 5s. Revel got 2 5s and Vidal got no 5s. No one takes any ruin, interestingly. Vidal put in 3 extra dark dice. Revel only put in 1 extra dark die. Revel, you escape with the head. What does it look like?
I think Revel is going to, if there's a tussle, he's going to take the glob of chewed up herbal remedy out of Vidal's pocket and kind of hold it forward and like, don't come any closer, Vidal. I'll use it.
It's like garlic. And then
he'll just say, so this has been, yep, and just back out the door and start running.
Heretic. Deceiver.
And
Revel's
Diane
just
and Vidal are
gone.
staying in Old Kaleczenie, it sounds like. Unless there's something else I need to know about. Revel, you managed to escape back to Fort Durin. You will be able to collect the bounty, all of it, which is 6 gold, in addition to all of your other treasure. And I think we'll just do regular non-Hearthfire check-in in terms of wrapping up here. Revel, you go ahead and clear your burden's worth of gold, and then you can do any Hearthfire things that you wish. I was going to suggest, if you want, you can add this to your, I know Revel is a sort of imported character. You can combine the Hearthfires of the old Revel and this one, so that that character's story is continuing on in an interesting way. Maybe Revel goes back to his other campaign richer, having had a little exploit with these 2 crazies. But I'll let you sort that all out on your own, Ben. Everyone.
Nice vacation from Castle Amber.
Indeed, yes. Everyone, please give us a epilogue for your character here at the end of all things in Old Kaleczenie or thereabouts. What does it look like?
Diane, now officially, I suppose, the stew princess of Old Kaleczenie, the leader, the religious icon, takes the place of Merek Foulcoult to become the preacher, etc. A lot more focused on making money than whatever it is about the sisters. The sisters are barely mentioned anymore in this city. High taxes, the bad kind, the ones that just kind of go right into Diane's pockets. I imagine power goes to her head quite a bit. Whether or not she survives is not even the question. It's just how long she manages.
Vidal, how does your end go?
I think Vidal finds himself a good position as Diane's right hand, chief inquisitor, tax collector, head of secret police, that kind of thing. He is quite in his element, rooting out those who still speak of Foulcoult, those who speak of the sisters, those who don't show their proper reverence to the living saint, the stew princess. And yeah, he's by some regard the most feared man in Old Kaleczenie, because if you don't pay your taxes or don't show the proper reverence, he and his thugs will be coming for you sooner or later, and you will find yourself in that pit.
Revel, I think this is probably a prequel to the adventures your character will get up to later. So just give us a little epilogue before that.
I think we see Revel turning in the head at the contact that they had all initially met through, and he'll make a lot of mournful noises about his friends and all that. But as he's leaving, and there are a couple of fresh-faced treasure hunters, he'll say, "So there's a new cult in Old Kaleczenie here."
Very good, very good. I love it. Let's go ahead and go to stars and wishes. Stars, of course, are things you enjoyed about our series, the whole series, or the 2 sessions of the series, I guess, 2-shot. And wishes are things that, if you were to see these characters again, maybe what would be going on with them, though I think Vidal and Diane are pretty well done. But whoever wants to go first, take it away.
Well, stars, of course, for the writer of this, because this is so disturbing and
Ollie, yep.
disgusting, and I love it. It is every moment I have it, like, 'cause I have Terrific Gold, so I kind of took a glance through it just to get an idea of what it was about, so that I could have an idea of what kind of character I would want to play, but I didn't want to read it because I wanted to be surprised, and oh boy, was I surprised. There was a lot of surprises in this, so it was really quite different than anything else I've played before, and I really, really loved it. Stars, of course, for Jason for making it extra creepy with all the noises and voices and really leaning into the grossness. It's always a lot of fun. Ben, it was so much fun playing with you. This is the first time we've got to play together, so I'm very happy about that. And I love Revel. He's just this sort of, I don't know, not carefree. The way he was making his decisions was very, all right, yeah, we'll take a chance on this thing, or yeah, let's do this thing over here. And it wasn't, you were still weighing the consequences, but in a way that wasn't putting weight on the things that I would have expected the weight to get put on, if that makes any sense. It was a very fun character, and I really want to see Revel do more things. I want to watch the adventures of Revel. Of course, Rob, Vidal is great. I love the spiritual journey that he took. That was a complete mess, and I love it. It was wonderful. So thank you for always really leaning into that kind of disturbing character that just kind of you think about for years. Remember that time you had this character that was like this? That's the kind of characters you always seem to play, and I always have a lot of fun with that. So yeah, stars for all of you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got to say.
Go ahead, Rob. No, that's fine, Rob. Go ahead.
I was going to say, yeah, also big star for the incursion, which is just, you know, so much atmosphere and so much, you know, this just gross gore, grand guignol, horror and madness. I love it. That's like, you know, exactly one of my things. And yeah, as always, thank you, Jason, for being so generous in running all these games and running them so well for us. And yeah, I really enjoyed the other two characters. Revel was this, you know, the kind of voice of sanity in a way of the group, but you know, peculiar in his own ways. And Diane just going from this kind of pragmatic treasure hunter to, you know, someone fully invested in their own destiny was a fun journey as well, and I had a great time playing Vidal. So yeah, I would happily play with you folks again anytime.
And you will be next week, as it turns out. I had a good time. I really enjoyed this incursion. Yeah, star to Ollie for the incursion. It's very, very it has that grand guignol, that madness, that sort of Boschian, like kind of chaotic, you know, horror going on. Very, very enjoyable. And we did just about everything. I mean, not quite everything in every place. There were some other little props and things in some of the sets that you could have done, but we did see every set, with the exception of the one sort of like there's an alternate way in to the incursion if the ship wrecks before you get to the chain. And so apart from that, though, that we got to see quite a lot of it, which was really enjoyable. And we definitely got to see the big like highlight moments from it. So I was very happy with that. It kind of really came off really nicely. I really enjoyed Vidal and Diane's ending. I thought that was a really interesting way of ending it. It felt appropriate in the story. And so I appreciated that twist a lot. I like that Revel escaped, and I like that this is functionally a prequel story for a character that exists in another playlist, maybe two of on my YouTube channel. It might just be the one, I'm not sure, but they're definitely in the Castle Amber playlist though, and which is not done, by the way. We still haven't finished that, as I recall. But yeah, it was kind of fun because it's a character that I've seen and known, and so in that sense, it felt like a side story or a prequel story for this character that I'm already familiar with, and so that was really enjoyable for me. And I thought everybody just played their characters really well too. You all had a good like vibe, a good like. There was a sort of like good, like it was an interesting like sense of humor going on, like that kind of cut through the sort of madness of the setting, and I really appreciated that a lot. The only wishes I have there's really none, except to say that I do now want to go back and finish Castle Amber at some point. And I think we as a group, I think this is what Rob was suggesting. I would like for us to play Trophy Gold in the future sometime. We've got some other things coming up in this slot, but if we ever get a chance to do a little Trophy Gold shebang again, we should definitely do it. Yeah, Ben, do you want to do any stars and wishes?
Yeah, star for first off, the Stew Princess to Old Kaleczenie Queen journey was great. I really thought it was really cool. You just embraced that end for Diane's arc. Also, big star for the 12 there that no one saw coming, especially not Merek.
Oh, it was such a great moment. Oh man, when the boxcars came up, it was like, whoa.
Yeah, that was great. Vidal was a lot of fun to play against with Revel is kind of like a magic Jack Sparrow. He's mostly drunk, kind of chaos, but having that with Vidal being the super serious kind of foil and having them be paired so much was really good. And having Vidal just embrace the zealot side of his past with Diane was perfect. Yeah, I did not see that coming, but that was great. The incursion as a whole was just really fun. I loved the orange fungus and the hints at what might be happening beyond. Like, is this an experiment? Is it what's going on here? It's really fascinating. I'm still curious about just Kaleczenie. Where's new Kaleczenie?
where's plain Kaleczenie or new Kaleczenie? Yeah.
And you know, how much worse are things there? But this was really good. The A++ for all the sound effects. Jason, your sound effects are always so good. We need a soundboard for when you're not around. That's a new Patreon level idea. There you go.
Yeah, there we go. It's just like withered crazy person, strange sloughing mouth noises. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, this was great. Thank you very much for running it. I'm looking forward to what comes next, and it's been a blast getting to play with the Friday crew.
Yeah. I have one more kind of observation, not so much a star or a wish, but I think that Old Kaleczenie is a really like I feel like there's like so much more to do in that city, you know. I mean, all there is in Trophy Gold is just this one incursion, which is a lot, but like there's no other like exploration of Old Kaleczenie otherwise, and so there's nothing in Loom about it, for example. But I think that there is a lot of like adventuring to happen in this city, and I think what is really cool about the ending with Diane and Vidal is it suggests that Merek is was just like another like person in a long line of like craziness that's been happening here, right? Like the fungus took over at a certain point, and it's just been like a rotating cast of like of power grabbers and prophets and zealots, and yeah, and like, so who knows like where, you know, like how far back it goes, you know, or what was the origin of it. So yeah, I feel like there's a lot more to do there. There's a really interesting like kind of urban dungeon crawl to take place in Old Kaleczenie where you find the source of the orange fungus or whatever, right? Like I think that would be super cool. So if anybody's watching this and wants to write that, maybe even Ollie, go do that. Yeah, anything else before we go?
No, I'm just now fully invested in this. More stuff about Old Kaleczenie. I really love culty stuff. I really love,
Me
maybe it's
too,
because I
yeah,
love folk horror
yeah,
so much.
yeah.
Like culty stuff is just sort of one more branch
It
on that
always
tree.
hits for me too. Yeah.
Yeah, anything with kind of religion in it in a fantasy setting is always fascinating to me.
So yeah, I would absolutely play more Old Kaleczenie stories for sure. Somebody write it.
Somebody write it. Somebody do it. Okay, cool. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and stop the recording. I'm doing a new thing where we all wave. Everybody wave. Thank you.